Florida and Alabama meet in the second SEC tournament semifinal. We saw these two teams play 10 days ago. The end result was a Florida 99-94 victory over Alabama in Tuscaloosa. Another feather in the cap of a phenomenal season for the Gators. Um, but Alabama's been playing much better since then, and that game was kind of a a blip. They went after that and beat Auburn on the road. These are two heavyweights of the sport. These are two titans. Like you could put this in the Final Four. You could put this in the national championship game, and nobody's batting an eye or shocked. What's the biggest thing you're looking for in this one?
Well, that's a great question. So many different things, I think.
What are you most excited to see?
I think I'm most excited to see Florida's guards versus the athleticism of Bama, where it's like strength on strength, dog versus dog. We're going to go at each other for 40 minutes. Um, what I'm also excited to see is how does Bama react to Florida's bigs? Can they handle the pressure that Florida's bigs can bring on the offensive glass?
Yeah.
Um, in any Bama game, will they make shots?
They,
That's one of my
we
favorite
have
things to
covered
watch.
that. They're incredibly 3-point dependent.
Yes. Yes. And they're good. Like if they're making their shots, they're the best team in the country. They
Yeah.
don't make them enough for me, but if they make them, they're the best team in the country for sure. I mean, special performance from Phylon against Kentucky. Can he carry that over against, respectfully
Yep.
to Kentucky, a better Florida team?
Yes.
Um, and I think there's so many storylines in this game. Nate Oates versus Todd Golden. Who bites first on the jump, right? Like who's the first one to
Yeah.
leave their school? One of them's gonna bite. I think Nate Oates goes to the NBA. I think Todd Golden takes a different college job. But who bites first? Like there's so many different storylines in this game, right? If you're a elite recruit, is there a game you're watching closer than these two teams?
Maybe the first one, Tennessee and Auburn, but this is probably the more fun stylistic matchup,
Yeah.
right? Where you're going to get up and down, you're going to get a lot of points, you're going to shoot a lot of threes. It's probably the most appealing game to watch of the day. Now there are boatloads of conference tournament championship games, and Autobid is going to be handed out Saturday, but this game's probably going to be the most fun to watch. You mentioned the front court battle. That was something Alabama lost in this game. Alex Condon went for 27 and 10 in this one. Bama dominated the glass, out rebounded Alabama. Sorry, Florida out rebounded Alabama 50-35 in this game. Neither team shot three particularly well, but that Sears had a big game. He had 30 for Bama, but because of what Condon and the front court did for Florida, it didn't matter. It didn't matter. It also helped Walter Clayton kind of match Sears, and that matchup's going to be fun. Clayton versus Sears again. Um, I think I kind of lean with Sears in that matchup slightly, but I will take Elijah Martin and Will Richard probably as guards 3 and 4 if we're ranking all the guards in the game.
So you have Florida guards. You have three Florida
Yeah, so
guards.
I would go Sears and then the three Florida guards.
No Phylon?
No Phylon in there, but Phylon has scored double figures now each of his last 5 games. He is playing better and kind of getting back to what he looked like the first part of the year. But that's more to do with how good I think Martin and Richard are.
I will say this in regards to Bama's guards. I'm not a huge Aiden Holloway guy.
Yeah.
Um, I think he's hyped as if he's like a one and done. His one was done. He just transferred instead of going to the NBA. So he was a one and done. He just left the
Yep.
best team in the country because he knew he wasn't going to play on it to go to their rival. Um, so like I don't know, not a huge Aiden Holloway guy.
Yeah.
I do think he's very good at basketball though. Like I'm not trying to take anything away from him, of course. But in the respective guards battles, I definitely think Florida has them beat for sure. And Sears, I'll say this: 2 through 4 is closer to one than I think 5 is to 4.
Yes. Yes. I'm very much with you on that. I want to see how Aiden Sherrill does in this game because Florida's front court dominated Bama in this game. Bama then went and beat up Auburn's front court the next game, largely because Sherrill had a really big role in that game and had a stretch where he dominated the game. I think it was in the first half of that one. I want to see him be able to do that again because if he does that and you can rotate him and Cliff as true bigs with Dubate in there sometimes, that changes, I think, what you can do with Alabama, like what lineups they can tinker with. If you can get solid production from a true big on both ends, it elevates their ceiling tremendously and their floor tremendously. Like that's been something they've been looking to see, and they may have gotten it.
I mean, it'll be interesting to see what happens with it. I mean, is there, I guess, like my question for you, because it's something I've been racking my brain about since the matchup kind of came out. Is there absolutely anything either team can do that would make you feel worse about their tourney chances?
No,
Yeah, I agree.
I take that back. I think the only thing that can happen, and I do not foresee a world where this happens, is Bama gets blown out and just gets worked on the boards. Like shooting doesn't matter. They shoot okay. They're not a great shooting night, but not one of their awful shooting nights. But they lose by 15 or 20
Hmm.
because Florida's bigs are just that much better than theirs. Because that's
Yeah,
something we've talked about with Alabama is the weakness up front. And if they're not making their threes, they're an okay team. It may make me reevaluate how I would look at them against the other teams they're going to be competing with to go to a Final Four.
yeah.
But
I
that's the
definitely,
only thing. It's like once we get to the second weekend, it changes how I look at them, but not anything before that.
I definitely agree. I think Bama's the only team that could change my opinion. But also, I've been harsher on Bama, so maybe that's probably why I hesitated on it because I think I've been probably overly harsh on Bama this year.
Yeah. Well, who do you have winning this game?
Florida. I like Florida. I
I,
also like Florida to win the tourney. Um,
I like
both,
Florida. I like Florida to win this tourney and the other tourney too.
so the my favorite in the actual tourney at the moment is Michigan State. But Florida is like firmly in my Final Four, like firmly.
Do you remember like the late 2000s Michigan States that would make long tournament runs? And like the 2009 team, I think it was, comes to mind that played UNC in the title game,
Mhm.
where it's like they're on this run and they're solid. There's no like overwhelming talent on the team, but they're really solid college basketball team. And then they run into a brick wall, and it's like we have nothing.
Yeah,
To me,
2009.
that would be like a Florida Michigan State meeting up.
What's
Where
interesting
like
about
I probably gonna pick Michigan State to go to the Final Four, at least the Elite Eight. But if they're in
'09,
this,
is that a year before or after Florida went back to back?
it's 2 years after.
Yeah, so I mean that's
But
what
but I'm saying
I mean,
like with this
shout by
team,
you.
the only like if Michigan State makes I trust them to make a really long run. But if they run into Florida in like the Elite Eight or something, I think Florida wins that by double digits.
Where both those teams are located, I could see either losing in the Sweet 16. I could see either winning the national championship. I think those two teams. The difference between those two and Auburn and Duke, and this my bad, this has gone off the rails. Hand of accountability. Auburn and Duke, I think, could be located anywhere, and I feel the same way about them making the Final Four. Michigan State and Florida, I do think have to avoid a couple teams.
Yeah. Florida, I don't. I think Florida has what it takes to do whatever, and I think we kind of see that in this game. I think it's another pretty close game, like a competitive game, but I think Florida ends up winning by like 8 or 9.
I think they win by double digits. I'm being honest too, so I'm right there with you.
Yeah. We'll be back with a full recap after the game. Bama fans, you can tell us if we're wrong when we probably are. So make sure you like and subscribe.
I don't give a piss about nothing but the tie.